it. I love it. I love this spiritual energy and this truth. I mean, I love it. Okay, so, woo. Sometimes I have some hesitation at the beginning of speaking and channeling as my mind wants to really know exactly where we're going to go before taking the first step. And I share this out loud to be expressive and open about how the process feels for me to enter into a state of allowance, to trust the process, the journey, and to let the super consciousness take the lead, because it is something that I can't wait for the full download of it to arrive. The arrival occurs through the process of the movement and the journeying. And this is where there is a sensation of an expedition shifting into traveling, right? Spiritually and energetically. So, with that being said, I'm going to start at this morning when I was driving to work. I was hearing this line of trust the silence. Trust the silence. Yes. And my mind said, well, what does that mean? Because it can look differently. I think silence can communicate different things. And the answer to that is like, exactly, and trust that. So it is not, this is always what silence means. It is when we say trust the silence, trust what you intuit in the silence. Trust what you feel in the silence, because we can experience a silence that is full of separation energy and is suffocating and choking, constraining, and pushing you outside of your authenticity, where we've got to strap on a whole body armor worth of survival skills. Yeah. Silence can be suffocating depending on the frequency of the energy that silence is surfing on top of. What is the wave the silence is riding? Yes. And silence can also hold a sacred stillness that has space to breathe and room to grow, and holds expansive vibrational energy of love and safety. Yes, trust what you feel in the silence. Ooh, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And here we have truth. This is truth. This is truth. This is breaking through perceptions and experiences that are anchoring an external reality as truth, which can be an equation for a petri dish of deception to bloom inside of, where there's a whole lot of confusion. And this line has come through multiple times in sessions as well, that I'm just now linking it to this whole conversation, which is my truth is my peace. Other people's truth is my confusion. If you exit or try to feel that there needs to be a match of some sorts between your truth and external truths in order to embody it, that is a disempowering energy that is going to pull you out of alignment and authenticity and into the spaces of the silence that is suffocating, the convincing that is exhausting. and the heaviness of carrying invitations around as obligation, if that makes sense. So trust the silence, trust what you feel inside of the silence and the discernment that shows up for you there. I have experienced the type of silence and blank stare, separation energy that absolutely is not safe, that is carrying complete emotional unavailability and is not vibrating with emotional safety. And I'll tell you, there is a huge difference between a silence that speaks for itself, something more true that doesn't need to be explained, something that can be felt rather than told. Yes. And I'm down with that. I deserve that. This is I can breathe here. That I can breathe here. That's nice. That's nice because I speak the energy of language intuitively. And so like what a lovely thing to not have to over explain, to not have to convince, to not have silence staring at me. In a very uncomfortable way. Like I don't want to be suffocated by silence. I don't want silence to stare at me. I want silence to provide me with sovereignty and safety and all the beautiful invitations to completely embody my truth and my authenticity and know that I am felt. I am just felt. I am seen. I am felt. I don't need to work to make that happen. And I heard something recently that said, this I heard like from somebody else's podcast. I can't remember who, but I like to be clear on the difference of what I'm channeling versus what I'm repeating because I just think that's authenticity and respect, right? So I heard another person say, over explaining is begging. Over explaining is begging. Whoop! And I just was like, hello. Yes. Truth. Truth. Over explaining is begging. If you are being faced with the type of silence that is provoking you to over explain, here's a clue about what you can trust that you are intuiting energetically in the silence. Trust the silence, right? If a silence is calling me, inviting me into energy of over explaining, this is begging. If you're in a position of begging, you have left yourself. You have left yourself. You are now experiencing a major contradiction to the very intentionality of over explaining because you've left your own truth if you're in an energy of begging. You just moved away from truth, right? Trust your silence. Trust that your silence speaks for itself as well. And so you're looking for somebody who can discern that deeper truth, who can also experience what your energy brings to the table, right? Through the provision of that warm, safe, it speaks for itself, safety, that your presence, authenticity, and embodiment of truth provides. And now this brings me to There has been a whole lot of signs popping up everywhere, like a clip from a newspaper in the office about lost and found and St. Anthony. I had like 5 clients in 1 week mention something about St. Anthony specifically, which is people I've been working with for over a year who have never said anything of that sorts to me before. So the randomness is the validation, right? Of like, you can't make it up. This is coming into my radar. I am being spoken to about what does this mean with lost and found and the presence of St. Anthony. And it just continued. It grew and grew and grew. I was wanting to make sense of it prematurely with lost and found, lost and found. What does this mean? And so I stopped. I stopped in my tracks to try to make sense of what the lost and found means. But it was only page 2 of 10 or more, right? And so if I wanted to know what the rest of that story is and the meaning making of it, keep moving. Just keep moving. Let it unfold. The more I create a stalling from the place of my human mind, believing that I'm missing something, otherwise it would make more complete and clear sense to me now. So let's stop to review, is just the adjustment to being soul led, to being spirit led, where the expedition starts with we cross this threshold and we begin the movement because we know something is calling to us. And then as it shifts to the travel, we're no longer moving from a place of aiming for a destination. We know that the answer is the travel. The answers are the traveling. Trust the process, right? So as I continue to travel, now more and more is unfolded about what does this mean with why I'm being bombarded with things about St. Anthony and lost and found. And then the other pieces start coming about preaching to fish, preaching to fish. Oh, and the difference between the depth of hashing into this wholeness, that the authenticity is so embodied that we have really left behind the draw back into attachment wound energy. Yes. And the lessons here are around the story of St. Anthony not being listened to and speaking to an audience or people whose ears are closed and they have no interest or value around hearing what he is saying. And so instead of standing there and continuing to effort toward convincing, he is in his authenticity and he is speaking his truth because he is his truth. He is his truth and he's embodying that truth. And so the expression of that is not tied to explanation. There's a difference between expression versus explanation. So he's standing at the edge of this riverbank and he is in authenticity and truth and expression. He's connected to oneness and nature responds to truth and oneness. So the fish gather around and they are like appearing in ways where it is obvious to see their presence and their movement as they are gathering and drawing near to this energy of truth, authenticity, and expression. And then the people come. And then the people come. All right, so I'm going to start in this direction and see how this connects. I had a session this morning that was very, very much about just this beautiful revelation on a deep energetic level with a trauma informed view connected to complex trauma and internalizing of those experiences in how this shows up and affects the difference between being in an energy of envy versus authenticity. What is the difference between envy versus authenticity? When you are in some sort of positioning energetically that has fractured energy, attachment wound energy, some sort of separation of self, where we are holding an internalized belief about what we have experienced that says something about our worth or what we deserve cellularly. And we have this calling towards something grand. We have this calling, this desire toward a big life, a life with our with dreams more expansive than what we can currently envision, right? You have that calling, and you have a fractured energy that is holding some cellular survival mode narratives that say you don't deserve that. That doesn't belong for you. It's not safe for you to receive that. That energy is a denial of divine truth. Those internalized beliefs are energetically denying your divinity. This is a fractured energy. And when you are in that state of a denial of something that your soul is calling you toward, and then we see and we experience somebody else potentially receiving the thing that our soul is calling us to, but our survival skill is holding us back from. That is an energetic formula for envy. Envy, which I think you can use the synonym of resentment pretty close together with that, with how that would feel, the envy. And how does this connect into appreciation? The amount of healing that this person has done. I'm thinking of a specific session where all of this was really coming together. The amount of healing that this person has received and the integration that is happening, the soul retrieval and the releasing and the extracting of the limited beliefs that have said, you are a failure. That's the doubt, the self-doubt, the diminishing, the child's mind trying to make sense of what they did not receive and taking ownership for unmet needs. All of that energy was playing out in a way where there was envy that was perpetuating disconnection. And as that has really healed out, the gift of vision has come online, and this person can now see the people they love. They are not viewing, they are not afraid to witness, they are inside of the safety to allow the stillness that is a sacred gift for you to see the people you love with a newfound energy of appreciation. The healing shifts. On this side, that's envy. On this side, that's appreciation. This is a very connected thing here. In wholeness, it's appreciation. In fractured, wounded attachment spaces, the very same thing is now converted to envy. It alchemizes to appreciation when we heal and come home to ourselves. And that healing and homecoming is inner union. It's inner union. This person has people who absolutely love and appreciate him and always has in his adult life, right? Very much appreciated and loved. Able to receive that, able to reciprocate that, able to relax into energy of appreciation and return that appreciation to the people who are wanting to hand it to him. No, wasn't able to engage in that way when in the wounded space. But the healing that has happened here, that has allowed a homecoming. What I'm saying here is appreciation starts on the inside. You need to appreciate yourself in order to feel comfortable with an abundance of appreciation showing up in your reality and magnetizing that in. And this connects back into the difference between being an expression where you are a creator. The expression is of truth. You are the truth. And this is creation energy, where your words are carrying a vitality in them. And the nature can feel the vibration of that and is responding in the fish drawing near, right? There's a difference between being a speaker who is speaking to an audience versus a leader embodying truth and authenticity that is creating through the vocal expression. And that's a whole different level of frequency and freedom, allowing for the person who is doing the talking to be in union, in harmony, in wholeness, rather than having some type of a transactional relationship with audience where you accidentally move away from your own truth. Appreciation is a part of this equation. Appreciation is a part of the standing fully in your truth and embodying that and expressing it in such a balanced way where we are not over explaining and not silencing ourselves or constricting and creating energetic blocks in the throat chakra. The appreciation from the inside out that we arrive at as envy clears out and is released when you come home to the full acknowledgement of identifying primarily with your oversoul energy. That is connected to speaking truth, being truth, and hearing everything that's available to you, that's being communicated to you inside of silence.